أعوذ بالله من الشيطان أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعه وله وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد, إن شاء الله we continue with our book explanation series, this Sisters Mentorship class, and we are with the book of the uh, inner sin, the biggest danger in the life of the Muslims, by الدكتور محمد سعيد رمضان البوطي رحمه الله تعالى. um, Sheikh will talk about the inner and the internal and the external aspect of things, the religious relationship or the accountability relationship. What do we mean by that? Um, يعني it is agreed upon that the orders of Islamic Sharia in general, there are statements and actions that they are external statements and actions, like Sawm, fasting. Ramadan is coming, fasting. Salah, enjoining good, forbidding bad, helping Muslims with their affairs, reconciling between people, dispute resolution, okay, mediation. All of these things are ظاهر يعني those are things that you say or do, that it is physical, that is social, that's external. Like you see it, people see it, feel it, all of that. The other half is internal, relating to the heart, to your soul. Mm. Still, even though we talked about that, uh, still someone have the mic on. All right. So the external aspect, the statements and actions, like fasting and Sawm and all that, and internal aspects, which is your soul and your heart, like ikhlas, sincerity. This is not something tangible. This is not something that you see, or you see that you see it, you see the effect of it. You can describe it. You can describe this salah is good, quality, quantity. This fasting, zakah, this hajj. You can judge. You can have a criteria for it is good or bad or this or that. But those feelings, non-tangible things, abstracts, concepts, it's very hard. Humbleness. Are you completely humble or not? Are you 100% humble or not? Do you love someone for the sake of Allah? How much that love is? You hate someone for the sake of Allah. You are afraid of the adab of Allah. How much is that? The level, يعني, right? That's why if you go to the doctor, they put the thermometer under your tongue, and they put the blood pressure thing in here on your blood pressure machine to check the blood pressure. And they put that pulse thing on your index finger to see the oxygen and all that. Those are measurable things, right? So they see the heartbeat, and the thermometer can tell them like what is the fever degrees, if you have fever or not. But then when you are in pain, from something physical, it is physical, right? But the feeling of pain itself, how can you measure it? They ask you, right? They ask you for like 1 to 10, like where are you? And you kind of like, 5. How did you get to that? So this is exactly what it is. You know how sincere you are. I'm just trying to make it closer, how sincere you are, how humble you are, how loving you are. And nobody knows that except Allah Azza wa Jal, and then you. No one. No one would be able to measure that. You know when you are low, when you are high. You will know. طيب. So those are the two um, orders of the Sharia. External, Salah, Siyam, Zakah, Hajj, enjoining good, forbidding bad, reading Quran, all of that. Internal, sincerity, love for the sake of Allah, being humble, love for others, what you love for yourself, and so on. Those are orders. Same thing for prohibitions. There are external statements and actions you are not supposed to. You cannot kill, you cannot commit adultery, you cannot drink, you cannot steal, you cannot backbite. The tongue, yeah? Namima. Those are things that you do with your tongue, with your eyes, with your hands. Okay? And then you have the things that you are prohibited to have, again, spiritually, with your heart. Not to be arrogant, not to be self-absorbed, showing off, grudge, hasad of others, hard feelings for the dunya and all of that. Those are the prohibitions. So we have orders and prohibitions, external, internal, external, internal. Or you can say there is external and internal, and under each one there are orders and prohibitions. It depends, like whatever you want to divide, like however you want to divide it. And our actions, according to our Sharia of Islam, our actions divide to external and internal, and each one of them has orders and prohibitions. Or you can say, according to our Sharia, there are orders and prohibitions. Under each one, there is external and internal. Either way, the result is the same. All right. And we also know as Muslims, the Sheikh says, as Muslims, we also know that all Muslims agree, we all agree, that whatever a Muslim does externally would not count without the internal aspect of it. If you do Salah physically, externally proper, and everything by the book, but you are doing it to show off, or you are doing it for a reason other than pleasing Allah Azza wa Jal, well, it doesn't count. So this is very, very important to understand. So the inner aspect of any order of Sharia is necessarily for the external aspect. So if the ikhlas is not in the heart, if the sincerity is not in the heart, any obedience will be a fruitless tree. A tree without a shade or fruit, because it doesn't have a root. Sincerity is like the root. So if ikhlas is not there, the fruit will not be there. And the Sheikh also says that the soul has to be instructed. The soul has to be nurtured. It has to be grown in an environment of good morals and manners. If there is a heart that it is encompassed and drenched in grudges and arrogance and showing off, it cannot reach to Allah Azza wa Jal. The worship is not going to be your ladder to Allah Azza wa Jal. So if the heart is encompassed by all these negativities, worship, ibadat, salah, siyam, zakah, hajj, Quran, and all of that, they are your ladder to Allah Azza wa Jal. But that ladder cannot stand on that ground. It will not be firm on that ground. So this worship will not stand there. It needs fertile land It's a land of sincerity, a land of humbleness to Allah, a land of dedication to Allah, of taqwa, of iman. Then this ibadat will do its purpose, will fulfill its role by taking you to Allah Azza wa Jal. I hope it's understood that way. Because sometimes people think that worship is a goal in itself. Let me pray because I have to pray and get over with. So now when you're done with the prayer, you did not use it properly. Hold on a second. Okay, so worship, it serves its purpose. It's the vehicle to Allah Azza wa Jal. The ground is the internal aspect. The fruit is the happiness that you see in this dunya and the pleasure of Allah in the akhirah. Remember it like this. This is the structure. You as a Muslim living in this dunya to worship Allah. Why do you worship Allah? To please Him subhanahu wa ta'ala and get His reward. That is the fruit. When you please Allah in this dunya, He's pleased with you in this dunya, you enjoy the dunya and you become a good slave of Allah Azza wa Jal. That in itself is your reward in the dunya. Is to be the true slave of Allah. Abdur Rahman. Ibadullah. We are Ibadullah. Ibadur Rahman. We are the slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is our reward in the dunya. The goal is not to enjoy the affairs of the dunya. No. The goal is that Allah is pleased with you. While you are enjoying the affairs of the dunya, it is not the main reward. And the ultimate reward is the pleasure of Allah in Yawm al-Qiyamah, to save you from عذاب. فمن زحزح عن النار وأدخل الجنة فقد فاز. The one who is truly removed away from the punishment of hell and admitted to Jannah is the true successful one. So remember this equation, this structure. You are here to worship Allah. What is the reward for that? That Allah Azza wa Jal say, you are my slave. I like you. I'm pleased with you. Radiallahu anhu. That is your reward in this dunya. Now, to struggle, to suffer, to be rich, to be poor, to be sick, to be healthy, that is not the point. The point is Allah described for you what He wants for you and you are pleased with it. So the goal is not to enjoy, because if your goal is to enjoy in the dunya, if you don't enjoy, you're miserable. You're not happy. You're not pleased with Allah. But if your goal is to be a slave of Allah, wherever He puts you, you're happy with it. Satisfied, yani. Not happy means you're jumping. You're content that I am praying. I am a slave of Allah. Being poor or sick or this or that, it's kind of something I have to deal with. But at the end, I'm content that I'm a Muslim and I'm a slave of Allah. That's my goal, and I achieved it in this dunya. What is my reward? That Allah keeps me to be His slave. Allah is not abandoning me to shaitan or to my lusts and desires or to become enslaved to this dunya. I'm content with that. That's my reward. I got it in this dunya. My ultimate reward in akhirah is that Allah is pleased with me and I am admitted to Jannah and I'm saved from hellfire. Bas khalas. Okay. Now, how to achieve that? Allah gave us tools in this dunya, vehicles to take us from one place to another, to stay as a slave of Allah and get His pleasure at the hereafter. What are those tools and vehicles? Internal and external. And internal is your ground. You have to have iman, you have to have taqwa, you have to have yaqeen, conviction, you have to have fear of Allah Azza wa Jal, you have to have love for the sake of Allah, and hate for the sake of Allah. You have to have those. This is the ground. And now the external aspect is the connection now. From this to achieve the goal of being the slave of Allah. This is the worship part. Now, people don't understand it. So some people, they only focus on the spiritual aspect and they disconnect themselves from this dunya as if they are not created in the dunya. Well, Allah created us on earth. إِنِّي جَعَلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. يعني Allah Azza wa Jal created us for this earth. Allah created us for this earth. To be tested in this earth, not somewhere else. So I have to function here. You cannot disconnect that. So some people connect on the spirituality and they become like passive and they become disconnected from this world. That's not good enough. And some people the other way around, they focus on the external aspect of worship. They want to pray and they want to do this and they want to do that. There is nothing in the heart, or they are doing it for the wrong reason. It's not good either. Some people lift both and they focus on the material aspect of life. They become like animals. أنعام إنهم إلا كالأنعام. Some people use their brain only, mind only, and they become like robots. Everything science, everything there's no God, there is no this, there is no that, and everything like focus. And subhanAllah, Allah created a combination of all of that. Allah Azza wa Jal said, don't you see, don't you hear, don't you mind? تعقلون. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked to us about a spiritual aspect, nafs, wal qalb, wal fuad. Talk to us about these concepts that it is spiritual. And talk to us about the mind and the mental and the analysis and drawing analogy and being intellectual. And Allah talked to us about the physical aspect with jihad, with salah, with zakah, with hajj. And Allah talked to us about the social aspect of things. So why is that? That means we are the combination of all of that. That's very, very important to strike that balance. That's why shuyukh or the ulama or mentors, they always see what their students are lacking and they try to boost that. And what they are so aggressive in, they try to bring it down. And you as a parent do that with your children all the time. Automatically, without sometimes unconsciously. You'll find like somebody have two sons, one of them like very impetuous, one of them is very taciturn, one of them is very reserved. So I find that they are pushing the one who's reserved and holding the one who's impetuous, like it's just one impulsive, they want to run. Always like that. You find the parents, they have someone like who's very smart in business and someone who's not. The one who's smart in business, they let them. The other one, they will always boost them and praise them and all of that. And they want to take money from here and give it here. So the Sheikh is saying that the person who does not have the sincerity and the internal aspect of goodness in their heart, it is like you are sticking some ripe fruits to a dry tree and say this fruit is from that tree. Before long, the fruit is going to get rotten or they are not going to stick. Right? So this is very, very important. He says that in Quran, Allah Azza wa Jal told us that how everything is external and internal when it comes to Sharia. Allah Azza wa Jal said in Surah Al-An'am 120, وَذَرُوا ظَاهِرَ الْإِثْمِ وَبَاطِنَهُ إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَكْسِبُونَ الْإِثْمَ سَيُجْزَوْنَ بِمَا كَانُوا يَقْتَرِفُونَ. And abandon and avoid, right? ظَاهِرَ الْإِثْمِ وَبَاطِنَهُ, the internal and external sin. So there is ظاهر الإثم, there is باطن الإثم. The sin which is external and the sin which is internal. Means don't be arrogant and don't steal, for example. Don't have hatred to others and don't violate physically others. Don't do things to violate people's sanctity. And don't have hasad to them with your heart and don't hit somebody without right. ظاهر الإثم وباطنه. Those who truly commit sin are going to be accounted according to what they committed. Also, Allah Azza wa Jalla said, Surah Al-An'am, verse 151, قُلْ تَعَالَوْا أَتْلُ مَا حَرَّمَ رَبُّكُمْ عَلَيْكُمْ أَلَّا تُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا. Come, let me recite for you what your Lord is saying. Let me recite for you what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibited or ordained on you or prohibited for you. أَلَّا تُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا. Don't take partners with him. And Allah gave us 10 different things. And among them, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الْفَوَاحِشَ مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا وَمَا بَطَنَ. Not even come close. لا تقربوا الفواحش. Fawahish is the plural of fahisha. Major sins that Allah dislikes, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fahisha. ما ظهر منها وما بطن. Indecent acts, illicit acts, فاحشة, illicit and indecent acts. What is hidden and what is open, avoid that. لا تقربوها. Don't come close to it. Um, Also, uh, the Sheikh is mentioning a very important ayah, and he said, فَمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو لِقَاءَ رَبِّهِ, whoever wants to meet Allah, means meet Allah on a good note, يرجو لقاء ربه فليعمل عملا صالحا ولا يشرك بعبادة ربه أحد. This is the main two things that summarizes the internal and external. Internal, don't associate with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you don't associate with Allah, you're not going to be arrogant, because once you become arrogant, you associate yourself. When you hate someone that you don't like what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does, you're not satisfied with Allah's qadr subhanahu wa ta'ala. So shirk here, a person can associate themselves with Allah, associate their vanity with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or someone else. So if you do not have shirk, you're clear, sincere. And if you do good deeds, everything comes external under the good deeds. So for anybody who have problems with external deeds, I tell you, always look to what you're doing internally. Where is your heart? You'll always find somebody have anxiety, have a problem about the dunya, less trust. They're afraid of tomorrow. They're afraid of old age. They're afraid of sickness. They're afraid of poverty. There's no solid trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're afraid to say something good for the repercussions. So that means Iman is weak. So you have to increase your Iman. Lots of dua, lots of dhikr, lots of istighfar to Allah Azza wa Jal. Astaghfirullah atubu ilayh. I tell people it goes a long way, but have you asked yourself, sisters, like why you are not consistent on a certain word or dua? Why you're not consistent? And this is the simplest thing, the easiest thing. We're not telling you to move a mountain from one place to another. Sometimes these are things that people want to do. They want to do physical stuff. It's physical stuff. They want to pray Zuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, physical stuff. But you tell them, just sit and do 100 istighfar every day, or you cannot sleep without saying your salawat on the Prophet ﷺ, for example, 100 times, or you cannot you cannot go to work or anything like that without doing certain things. Why it is hard? Because it is a very effective act with the least of effort, and Shaitan will not let you do it. He will distract you. It doesn't cost much. Like how many minutes, how many hours we spend every day. Don't tell me how busy you are. Don't tell me that. I'm the last person to say that too, by the way. Because Allah, I don't know how many of you know how busy I am. I am actually, I actually am, from Fajr until midnight every single day. So don't tell me that you're busy or you're exhausted with housework and all of these things. Don't tell me that. So there will be 10-15 minutes you can save. Everybody said, "Oh, I want me time." What does that even mean? Me time. What does that mean? Like how do you want to isolate yourself from what? To what? Like you want me time to do what? Do nothing. What are you talking about? Really think about it. Like when you say, "I want me time," yeah, your husband. You want to stay away from your husband, from your children, from your chores, from your work, from your then do what? Hmm? Ask yourself, like, do what? We as humans, there is no way, that doesn't matter what people say, that you are thinking about nothingness. There is no such a thing. You have to be thinking about something, sometime, someplace. Remember that. It's impossible to remove yourself from those things, whether you are conscious or unconscious. You have to be thinking about something, somewhere, sometime. You're thinking about something past, present, or future. And you are going to be thinking about something, an idea or a dream or whatever, a dress or shoes or happiness. You're thinking about something, past, present, or future. So you're thinking about something, somewhere. You have to be somewhere. You're flying, or you're in a room, or you're on the ground, you're in the sea, what it is. So basically, you cannot get out of that. So there is no such a concept for me and you as human beings that you are going to rest doing nothing. Your mind will be doing something, somewhere, somehow. So the question now is, what is that thing that you are escaping to? Where you want to go? That's why we said, I want a vacation. I ask you, where do you want to go? Oh, I just want a vacation. You have to think about some place. And then you said, oh, I want to go to Galveston, or I want to go to Cancun, or I want to go to overseas. All right, here we go. There's a place. When do you want to go? Anytime. No, no, you have to say when. Tomorrow, after 1 week, 1 month, next year, in summer, right? So you thought about somewhere, and you thought sometime, and it is something. That's how we think. So you choose. So when you want to know, I want to rest. Rest from what? Rest from my duty as a slave of Allah, or rest from my duty as a wife or a husband, a spouse, or as a mother, or what? Then the next question is, are those things that you're supposed to rest from? Or those are the things, if you actually do right, that is your rest in this dunya? I'm sure you never thought about it that way logically before. And that's why we become bothered with the very thing that should not be bothering us, because this is the very reason of our existence in this world. It is actually the very reason of our existence in this world. I ask myself, if I am not Sheikh Mamdouh, if I'm not the Sheikh, if I'm not teaching, what am I going to be doing in this world? Like what? Like go sell stuff? Have a stall and sell fruit and stuff like that? Good, I could, but is this my alternative? I'm earning money here and I'm earning money here. But here I'm pleasing Allah Azza wa Jal more and I'm benefiting others. So which one? This might be harder, tasking, yes, taxing on me. It is exhausting. It is, like really draining me from things, but at the same time, there is a reward in it. And here there is a reward. There is a rest and everything, but the reward is not the same. So I have to compromise. So basically, instead of saying that this exhausts me, actually, this makes me happier. Like I can sleep better at night after an exhausting day of da'wah than a comfortable day doing nothing. You see, this is the process of things. So when you say me time, like from what? Like what are you going to be doing? Right? Now, if you are smart, you say, I am created here to worship Allah, and those are duties that Allah gave me. I need to rejuvenate and rest so I can do my duties as a mother, as a father, as a teacher, as a son, as a daughter, as businessman, as whatever it is. I want to rejuvenate so I can do my job right, that Allah chose for me to be His slave, without abandoning being the slave of Allah. So basically, the time I decide to rest, I'm not resting from being a slave of Allah. No, I'm resting while still being a slave of Allah, but doing something different. That is now when the istighfar comes, when the salah comes, when reading a story, or when you sitting and having some humor, or having some company of your family around a fire, or doing a barbecue, or going for a vacation. I'm doing things for the sake of Allah. So now you are enjoying it without wasting time, and you are doing it properly also for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, so you have to cleanse your heart all the time. It's like you have that broom or that vacuum cleaner or whatever, in digital age. You have to Use something that continuously moving. Don't fall in the trap of, I clean the house, but it becomes dirty again. Okay. Actually, if it was not dirty, you would not clean it for the first time. So what you clean one time and then it will never get dirty before, that means when we were dead. When we die, this is going to happen. You have to wash the clothes so you can wear it and become dirty to wash it again. And then you wash it again, to dry it again, to fold it again, to hang it again, and then to wear it so it becomes dirty, and you repeat. This is life. Sometimes people think like, like, oh, like, okay, I arranged your room. Well, thank you. Come next week, do it again. Yeah. So that's how it happens. That is the tajaddud. Yeah, this is our life, the cycle. When things stay still, means it's done. We're leaving. حتى إذا أخذت الأرض زخرفها وزينت وظن أهلها أنهم قادرون عليها أتاها أمرنا. When earth becomes self-sufficient and the people are in full control of it, it's done. You have to have that need. So people keep moving, the cycle. You spend money and you earn money, and you spend money and you earn money. You earn money to spend the money, and you spend the money to earn the money. Keep going like that. Someone gets old and die, and then somebody gets born, and the same thing, same cycle of events. As long as you are within the circle of Iman and Amal al-Salih, you're good. Keep in it. Okay, so that's why I'm saying that Shaitan will not let you do the simple acts that go long way. He said you need to go to Hajj. Why? Because Hajj is going to go once in a lifetime, and you need to be busy with it for the next 5-6 years until you get that money for the package. Well, if you are not able, خلاص, Hajj is not fard on you. Think about Umrah. If not either, think about Sadaqah. Think about sitting there and saying Salah on Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam or Astaghfirullah. He will say, no, 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 no. If you do Umrah in Ramadan, like you did Hajj with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, as far as reward concerned, not as far as the need of يعني the necessity of the action. All right. So he will not let you do the simple stuff. So that simple stuff goes a long way. Praying 2 rak'ah. Like how many times you're sitting on the couch and you said, oh, I'm tired, I've done all my chores and everything and all of that. How many times you said, let me pray 2 rak'ah with the intention of comfort and rest? Or make dua, or bring your tasbih and say Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, la ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, la hawla la quwwata illa billah al-azim. Or read Ayatul Kursi 10 times. When do we do that? Shaitan makes us feel that I'm taking a vacation from all of that. Like, I need to be quiet. I need peace. Peace means quiet. It is like you have to eat 3 meals a day. I have to sleep 8 hours. Where do these things come from? What if you don't need 8 hours? What if your body actually resets after 5 and you become fresh? Like, what if your body needs 10? Huh? What if you need 6 meals instead of 3? What if your body only can take 1 or 2, needs 1 or 2? So those are the things that we get consumed in this world, and thinking like we are actually in control, or we understand things. No, we don't. We don't. Our only way is to follow what Allah Azza wa Jal say subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why Allah said, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. Who is the truly successful one? The one who purifies himself. And who's the loser, the biggest loser and the most miserable? The one who um, put himself to demise. When Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, in the body there is a piece of flesh. If it is good, everything would be good. If it is bad, everything would be bad. There's heart. That means your intentions and your spiritual acts and your internal ground. Allah Azza wa Jalla, as the Prophet said, He does not look to your shapes and your bodies and your faces, but Allah Azza wa Jalla looks to your hearts and your intentions. So some people will say it is external and internal. Some people will call it, the required and the actionable items. Some says this is the truth, the reality, and some says it's Sharia. It doesn't matter. Let's stick with internal and external aspects of our life and our Sharia. يعني if you pray Zuhr or Asr, you did the wudu, you did your tahara properly, stood, you start with takbir, you did, tuma'nina, sakina, the order, everything. And then you said, Assalamu alaikum, Assalamu alaikum. What did this salah suffice? الظاهر القضاء. يعني nobody can come and say, you did not pray Zuhr. No, I just prayed Zuhr. But can somebody say your prayer is sincere or not? That's diyana now. That is the internal aspect. So that's why we said أحكام الديانة وأحكام القضاء. الديانة is between you and Allah. القضاء is the external. If a husband comes now, a wife comes and said, my husband divorced me, Sheikh. What did he say? He said, oh, you told me you're divorced. Okay. قال لي أنت طالق. And the husband said, did you say that? He said, yeah, but I was extremely mad. I was this, I was that. I did not intend this, I did not intend that. Now, what is my ruling now? I tell him, Allah, if this is your intention is like that, then this divorce will not happen. Qada'an. But diyanatan between you and Allah. Your intention now, if you're lying to me, means the divorce has happened. If it's like the third one, you're living with her in haram. But that's diyanatan. But I cannot rule except with what I see in front of me and what I'm told. But that is why some people said that the hukm of deen and the hukm of qada, the judgment, the court ruling is one thing, and the sincerity and the intention is another thing, external and internal. So if somebody went to Hajj, then we tell them Islamically, you fulfilled your duty. Now, were they showing off, or they were lying, or they got the money from haram, or this or that? This is between them and Allah. I don't know. I cannot rule based on the hidden things. Okay? I cannot rule based on the hidden things. If somebody lies, and I ruled based on what I see, which is a lie, but I cannot prove it is a lie. So internally, they lose, but externally, they won. And that is why it is very, very important to work on the internal thing, because nobody's going to help you with that except you. Only Allah is your supervisor in this one. But the father is supervisor of the children physically, externally. Husband is supervisor on his wife physically, externally. Everybody's like, I'm responsible about your actions externally. But internally, I don't know. Allah is your direct watch, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you know the ahkam of Sharia, it is very important. But all of this will not count if you do not know the ahkam of the internal, باطن. Right? But don't separate them. Don't say, oh, this Sharia is like for people who just go with the literal physical things. No, I am the one who's satisfied. I don't need now to do all. La, la, la. No, that's not what we're saying. You need both. You need to work on the haqiqah, on the reality, on the internal, on the diyana, and you need to work on the zahir, والشريعة, والأحكام القضائية. You need to work on the external. One cannot function without other. They are the two wings of the bird, the same bird. Right? That's why Imam al-Ghazali said, if a person claims that between him and Allah became such a state that with which he does not need salah, and he can drink and he can do whatever he wants because he does not need this sharia anymore, he reached with Allah Azza wa Jal, like some of the jahalatu Sufiya, some of the ignorant people who claim that they are Sufi if they are not, they said that this person becomes murtad. He should be executed. right? Because he will harm the ummah more than a disbeliever will harm the ummah. Okay, so this is very, very important. Inshallah, stop here today and we continue bi'idhnillah ta'ala with more insight into this beautiful concept of internal versus external sin. Sallallahu sallam wa barak ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Can open now if anybody wants to speak, please. You can. Okay, allow everybody to can unmute yourself if you want to ask. Yeah. All right. I'll leave inshallah and then we'll see you inshallah next week. Bismillah ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum. Let's see if there's somebody. Oh, okay. All right. Assalamu alaikum.